story one.
We just got out of our last party of the night. I was the designated driver in the trio I was in. My friends took sips off their drinks within the 4 places or parties we went to. That being said, they both said they were not drunk but still intoxicated. Each one of those places had different people from college and high school we knew, which is why we went to the various places. Anyways, we stopped at 7-Eleven to get some actual drinks and, of course, some food. While we are there, we talked to the employee behind the counter. She asked us if we had ever been on the road at 3 a.m. We said no. The latest we have ever been out is 1 in the morning. The register was a new type of one that showed the time, and it said 2 a.m. on the dot. She asked us if we were ever on Penn Street, which leads to an abandoned cul-de-sac. We said that our bus used to go over there when we were back in high school. She said, well, you know, if you go there at 3 in the morning, you can experience car issues due to a natural surge of energy. My friend George told her we would look into it. Thank you. I start up the car, and we drive off. My friend Jamie says, that woman was a mix of cringe and creepy. Who says something like that to a group of young people? Makes you think she was trying to bait us into doing it. I looked at him in the rearview mirror because I knew what he was about to say. Hey bro, let's freaking do it. I laughed and said, hey, we might as well end the night taking a drive. As we drove, I had a bad feeling that I was doing something wrong. I forgot to mention this, but from 7-Eleven it was 15 minutes to our destination. We decided we were going to stay and wait on the street in the car. We only needed 30 minutes to pass by before it was 3 a.m. As the minutes went on, my friends said that, strangely enough, they were feeling less intoxicated. I comment that I should have had some drinks from all this haunted road madness. My friend George said, yeah, right, it's only science. He opened a bag of ranch chips and had a handful of them. Before we know it, it turns 3 in the morning. We were on such a long road that it would take 7 minutes to drive till we even saw another road with other cars. That might not sound like a long time, but if we ran the car till the tank was empty, then we would be stranded. I said all this because the whole time we were there, I left the car off. The time came for me to turn the car on so we could investigate. My heart sank, and we all went from laughing to no emotion. The car would not even make a sound. Usually, a car would make that sound that lets you know it's trying to start. This time it was pure silence, mixed with the ambience of outside. My friends Jamie and George told me to stop FING around, and that this was no joke. I got mad and said, do you honestly think I'm playing around right now? George reached over and tried to start it, and nothing happened. Jamie said, okay, pump the pedal and try and start it. The same thing happened, which was absolutely nothing. All 3 of us got out and looked left and right and got back in. Nothing but road and grass. And on Google, it said a 45-minute walk to the nearest road. You see, the bus drove us through this road in high school. It would never stop on it for any condition whatsoever because it's just a long road of nothing. Right away, after we know nothing is going to get resolved, we all call people we know can get us out of here. I call my dad, George calls his brother, and Jamie calls his roommate. Not one person on our phones picked up, so we decided to call everyone and anyone. People's phones would either ring or go straight to voicemail. We got to the point where we needed to make another decision again, so we called 911. This is when everything hit the fan, and we all were blank for ideas. When George called 911, they said that the number was out of order. I heard that, and I panicked and tried to start the car and yelled, please, really loud. Jamie told me to calm down. We cannot get out of this by being frantic. It was 3:25 a.m., and we all just wanted to go home. To all of our surprise, we never popped the hood because we didn't know anything about cars. Our dads most definitely did, though. I popped the hood, and we got out and looked around. All 3 of us had our flashlights from our phones on. As we all suspected, nothing looked wrong, and we were as clueless as ever. George told us that our best bet is to take our stuff, walk, and hope we see a car drive by. So we did, and not even 3 minutes later, after walking, we saw a Ford truck. One of those old ones that have 3 seats up front. It's the girl from the gas station, and as she is driving, smoke is coming from the back of her truck. I scream, run, and we bolt behind the only fence we can that leads into the small, forest-like grassy area. As we are running, we hear the lady say, y'all better run because I'm going to enjoy selling you. We ran for what must have been a full 5 minutes. Nowhere close to anything at all where we can hide from her or tell anyone. At this point, all 3 of us are tired, So we all make a stupid plan because we are all willing to risk our lives to get out of there. We plan to go back to my car and try one last time. This may sound stupid, but we came up with a theory that the lady had targeted people back then and knew what would happen on that street. Not only that, but 3 a.m. could be the only time when all the vehicles don't work on that road. So we run back to the car while all in pain, and we jump underneath it. We see one truck go by that all three of us think is the lady. We don't want to get up and look, so we stay under the car. It finally reaches 4 a.m., and we get up and get in the car. I turn the key, and it starts. I put it into drive and broke the speed limit of 25 miles per hour. I called the 7-Eleven the next day, and they said that the camera showed her leaving during her overnight shift, and she never came back. That day, if either one of my friends was too drunk or I freaked out, we could have been gone.
Story number 2.
I hated the fact that I did locksmith jobs so late because I had to share the road with so many of those big 18-wheelers. It got to the point where I debated every night at midnight if I wanted to go to work or not. No other job in my city paid $25 an hour, though, and was as fun as this was. I was basically my own boss because I was able to just drive around in my car and help people who needed help getting back into their homes, cars, garage, and a lot more. Now I will not name the company I worked with for their privacy. All I will say is that they were good at what they did, and they never made me feel like I was working a dead-end job. You would be surprised at how many people get locked out of places. Not just people, but full-on businesses that had millions of dollars. I could not believe people got locked out of their houses at 5 in the morning. One day I decided to treat myself, so after I finished my job, I told my boss I would take a break. I worked all hours overnight, but I was able to choose when I could take a break. I could take 100 breaks if I could, but I wouldn't get paid commission. That being said, I decided to take this one break. I pulled into the Papa John's pizza place and picked up my order. I'm having the time of my life watching YouTube and eating, and then my phone rings. It's the lady who is the one that receives calls where I work and gives us the address where we need to go and work. I answered and said hello. She said, "Hi, such and such. I just wanted to let you know your break is going to need to be cut by 20 minutes. There is a woman trapped outside of her house, and her newborn is inside, and she needs you to pick the lock or get in." I say that I am on the way, and I throw my pizza in the passenger seat and drive off. It was not out of the ordinary for anyone to get a call directly after a job or while on break. An emergency is an emergency. Some people will avoid 911 in these cases because they will break down the door. 5 minutes pass, and I pull up to the house. Right away, I get out and bring my lock-picking set. The lady says, "Thank you, my dog is in there," and I don't know what to do. Right away, I am caught off guard and tell her that I got a call saying a baby was locked inside. She told me it must have been a misunderstanding because she said her dog is like her baby. I, for some reason, believe her and get the door open within 60 seconds. I told her the total should be $100 because of the type of lock and the time she called, but I will do $60. She asked if I could go any cheaper, and I said no. I'm already not going to make any money from this. I get paid half, and I invest that half into gas. She says okay, and gives me the 60, and I say thank you for choosing my company, and I leave. As I leave, I see her go in, and immediately, as she shuts the door, I see a light go on upstairs. Now, she could have a window that goes to her center of the house, and that could be the light she turned on, so I brushed it off. I remember thank God I can go finish my pizza and get my last 20 minutes of break-in. I go back to the now, close Papa John's, and finish my pizza that's cold, and finish watching YouTube. I clock back in, and I instantly get my next job. It is a good 15 minutes away from me. So as usual, I set out and drove. The GPS on my phone says I am 2 minutes away, and I get a call. As usual, it's the lady where I work, and she says I'm sorry, but they ended up being able to get back into their car. You have a new one, though, and it's in the middle 2 streets. When I got the address, I knew it looked familiar from before. It was right around the corner from where the lady was with the dog. I said, I swear if it's this lady again, I'm going to quit. I drive there and get out of my car, and it's a dude. He got locked out of his car while at his girlfriend's house. I said, don't worry, man, I'll get you back inside your car. As I put the airbags in the door and pulled my long tool out to get the keys off of his seat, the guy asked me a question. Have you ever been scared to tell a woman no? I told the guy, how I do to a woman is the last thought on my mind. I am way more concerned about just living life. He didn't say anything, and it took me about 5 minutes to do the whole airbag and get the keys thing. I told the man that it would be $100, and before I could finish the rest of my sentence, he pulled out his card, and he paid me, and that was that. He said sorry, and thank you. He was just really tired and needed to go home. When the man left, the craziest thing happened. He left his business card on the ground along with a receipt for a pack of water and ramen. That's not what was crazy, though. On the back of his card, he had the address of the lady that I helped with the house. I drove back over there, and there were police everywhere along with caution tape and a crime scene van. To this day, I don't know what happened. The thought of being close to something like that was enough for me to quit my job that day. Now I work at home from my computer.
Story number 3.
Now I want to give a disclaimer in this story before I tell it. This is something that happened all the way back in 1965 and is told by an elderly woman. Here is her story about her fatal encounter with another world. Back in high school in the early 60s, I and my husband met. We knew when we saw each other that we would spend the rest of our lives together. So we got married after graduation. Tom passed away 2 years ago due to his health. He did not have the worst health, but he never wanted to take vitamins or get proper exercise. He always had a smile on his face, though, and was happy. I said that last sentence because January 5th, 1965 was a day when I saw him break down. I'm not going to say he was the only one broken, because I was too. This whole story is going to involve 2 destinations that will be visited 4 times. One night, as we are leaving, a light flashes in our face. The sound we hear is like a giant fan is starting up with an enormous amount of bass to where the whole car is vibrating. We looked out, and there was a disc-like thing with all purple lights in our faces. And within 2 seconds, it went back. Now it was in the sky about 30 feet from us with 3 other lights. My husband pushed on the gas, and we went 100 miles an hour. As we drove, we saw them following us. They were not even a foot behind us when I screamed, and we went through the field to where a barn-like place was. We were hidden, and we turned our car off while we were there. I was crying, and my husband was lighting up a cigarette, trembling. I got mad and said, "You're really smoking right now?" He said, "Yeah, I can't think of what to do." We heard a sound. It was the same sound from when we first encountered the disc, and it went over us. We could see a bright searchlight, and it went all around where we were at. After about 3 minutes, the lights flew off and never returned. That day, my husband and I went back home. We decided to not tell anyone because they would send us to an insane asylum or something worse.